Let's continue with the next chapter, Block 5, Sprechen. This chapter has got the following topics. The first one is Sprechen als Fertigkeit. Second one says what happens during speaking, was geschieht beim Sprechen. Third one is the different types of exercises to practice speaking. Fourth one is Vorbereitung von Kommunikation. Fifth one is Aufbau und Strukturierung von Kommunikation. Sixth one is Simulation von Kommunikation. All these three are a type of the Übungstypologie. And there is an extra add-on about Rollenspiele. So, Sprechen als Fertigkeit. So, what does speaking do? Speaking basically helps the students to set their own targets with respect to their language capability in the foreign language. And again, that also depends upon different situations. So, most of the time, speaking is not practiced in the classroom. So, in classroom, the speaking situation is always artificial, and communication, speaking, finds only auf einer Ebene von Ritualen, meaning there is a particular ritual in the class where you say Guten Tag at the beginning of the class and then Auf Wiedersehen by the end of the class. So that those are all the Sprechgelegenheit, opportunities to speak, where everybody actually speaks, not particular students. And the third point is, since the Unterricht also takes place in the Fremdsprache, the students won't be able to convey their idea, their opinions in the foreign language. So these are all some of the disadvantages or the negative things. Sometimes it will be advantage, but we will leave that out. So on the contrary, when you try to set up a kommunikative Unterricht, meaning you try to engage the students in talking and speaking and all that stuff, Sprechen is limited by these two areas. One is reproductive Sprechen, which is basically repeating what has already been spoken and then giving the information. The second one is gelenkte produktives Sprechen, meaning you give certain rules and regulations for speaking and the students will just follow the format with minor variations. So these are all like some of the factors which limit the speaking capability of the students. So next we move on to Art des Sprechens. So how does speaking actually takes place in Unterricht? You have two types. One is mittlere Fertigkeit. The other one is Zielfertigkeit. So in mittlere Fertigkeit, this is the capability of the student to speak regularly in the foreign language. So this is basically repetition of the rules, giving a particular answer, etc. In Zielfertigkeit, it is a medium for communication. So the student or the speaker will try to express his opinions through the language. So on the mittlere Fertigkeit, the knowledge of the language is very important. So you must know the grammatic rules, you must know where to use the articles, how to set up a sentence, etc. Whereas in the Zielfertigkeit, you must be able to speak in the language. You can have errors, no problem, but as far as you are able to communicate your opinion, you're good. That is the key focus. In der mittleren Fertigkeit, Sprache wird für Regelerkennung benutzt. Meaning the language is used for identifying the rules. Say, hey, verb is in second position or end position. Article is there, the, thus. Use one of them, etc. That is the focus. Whereas here, the language is used for understanding and expressing oneself. The final point in mittlerer Fertigkeit is you must always have a correct formulation of sentence. You can learn dialogues by heart and then repeat them. No customization required. Whereas a Zielfertigkeit typical example is you express in your own words with the language Kenntnisse which you have about your experience, be it Urlaub, Busfahrt, application form, buying a house or renting a house, etc. This section is very important and is always asked in exams. So please make sure to learn this very thoroughly. So next topic is what happens actually when one speaks. So how does the brain actually work when you're trying to speak? The book goes to describe speaking as a 3-step process. It also mentions that this is the most difficult of all the 4 Fertigkeit. So you have a phase called as Konstruktion. So this happens inside your brain, and the brain actually thinks what should one say and how should one say. It tries to answer these questions and tries to form a particular response. And of course, this response is dependent upon the situation and dependent upon the people to whom this is being spoken. So till this point, the person hasn't spoken yet. So this is construction. The next phase is transformation. So now the brain tries to construct the answer to these questions which was raised in the construction phase. So even at this point, he hasn't spoken yet. The brain is just getting ready to give a response in the target language. The final phase is called as Realisation. Now this is where the person actually speaks. So during speaking, his tone, his body language, facial expressions, they all come into picture. So this is how your brain works when you're trying to speak. We don't normally realize this when we are speaking in the mother language or a known language, but with respect to German, you can actually apply this and then try to find out how your brain actually does the speaking task. Next, we move on to the Übungstypologie, basically the exercises and the tasks to practice Sprechen. So to develop Sprechfähigkeit in a step-by-step manner, we have 3 big groups of exercises. The first category or classification is called as Vorbereitung von Kommunikation, meaning these exercises keep you ready to communicate. These exercises will be typically reproductives Sprechen, meaning you will have a format given to you and you have to repeat the same. So these exercises are stark gelenkt exercises, meaning you have concrete rules, just follow the rules, and they have a structure also, just follow the structure and just repeat it. No creativity is necessary here. Then the second category ist Aufbauen und Strukturierung von mündlicher Kommunikation. So this is one level higher than the reproductive Sprechen. So you will have teilweise productive expression and teilweise reproductive expression. So you will learn half of the reproductive expression in your language, and then you will be motivated to add on extra as a part of your creativity. Then the third category is Simulation von mündlicher Kommunikation. This is called as productive expression. So here there is no structure, there is no rules. Whatever you have learnt in the first two exercises, you will just have to apply to a new context. So when you practice these three exercises in the correct order, which is 1, 2, 3 as it is mentioned, then you can build your speaking competence. But you have to note that the Schwierigkeitsgrad, the difficulty need not be linear progression, meaning your reproductive expression should be less difficult and this is more difficult and this is the finest of them all. No, it's not the case. You can have a reproductive expression which already is difficult, but the teilweise productive expression could be easier also. So that's what it says. The Schwierigkeitsgrad is nicht linear in die Reihenfolge. And if you explain this Übungstypologie to the students, then it will help you to be transparent in your classroom. So your Unterricht will be easy and the students will also know what they are getting into and they can build a structure on their own as well. So these are all the advantages in knowing the different Übungstypologie which we have in the Unterricht.
With that, the chapter comes to an end. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment to the channel. If you have any questions, then contact me via email or put down your comments and I'll be able to reply. Thank you.